you got two choices right now. You going to jail or you going to do this walk with me? So I need you to walk right now, and I need you to keep on walking. And you know, and that's how I talk to them.
Trucks and stuff like this here, digging up the roads. And like, we sat in Mount.
You know, for years I was in retail. And I was managing, I was making good money, I was traveling, but you know, doing all this stuff, but I never really felt fulfilled in my life. I really felt like there was more I could do with my life. I went back to school after 26 years to get my high school diploma. It was pretty scary, actually. Scary and fulfilling at the same time. And while I was there, actually, I ended up being almost like a go-to person there for a lot of the students. I was helping them with their homework, and I used to get calls all the time just in regards to supports. My next placement I ended up doing was here at Ceasefire. Somebody had mentioned it to me, and they thought that it would be a great fit for me, and yeah, basically what they do here, they thought that this would be something that I would actually really enjoy, and especially giving back to African Nova Scotians and those in my community.
This is very difficult business, what we do. As a matter of fact, it's pretty unique, and there's only, we were the first in Canada to develop this particular type of violence prevention program. We had been initially mandated by Public Service Canada, which funded us for the pilot project. We were mandated to focus on African Nova Scotian males between the ages of 16 and 24. Now, moving forward beyond the pilot project phase, what we would like to do is we would like to expand the demographic of individuals who we work with to include Caucasian, females, indigenous population, because really there is violence in those arenas as well. The doctor, he looked around and realized that really violence is something that should be looked at through a public health lens. Just like an epidemic, if you will, what do? You find the source of the epidemic, you find the source of the violence. Well, then you want to intervene, and then you want to change the norms.
Where this person, the next day, this person knocked this person out, the next day that person's going to kill that person. Yeah. And if you don't get in between that, right, like they can say, I don't care what I was drinking or what, it could have been their fault, but and that person don't even know what he did. But they still going to do what they're going to do, sir.
Violence interrupters work at night. They work during peak times, Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, like when there's conflict brewing. Their role actually is to mediate conflict. And then if there's anybody that they can maybe suggest that might actually want to come on board with Ceasefire, then I go out and I recruit that client.
Ready to go to North Preston.
Ready to go to Union.
We don't connect with the police. They don't interact with the police or communicate with the police. So the individuals we connect with can feel safe in that regard.
We're actually from the communities, and we're African Nova Scotian, so we're more relatable. And these guys that are in the community, they know us.
Brother? Yeah, brother. All right.
We can go into somebody's house, somebody we know that's a shooter, and we can actually talk them out of, we can do mediations. They can't do mediations. Ain't nobody listening to the police. Basically, my job as an outreach worker is to change their behaviors. I take them from being violent and being a gun carrier in some cases.
Part of our job is to give different strategies as well, because when you see situations like that, when the first response is they popped and use violence.
We believe that behaviors are learned, but they can also be unlearned. Well, on a daily basis, I'm basically connecting with clients. I am taking them to their appointments. I'm actually finding resources for them. With D, I go to court with him, big thing, with the clients. I go to support him.
My lawyer said that I was going to jail, and I was really scared. And Michelle and my mom were up there in the court saying that I'm working with Ceasefire and everything, and that I'm going to all my appointments and doing what I'm supposed to be doing, so that was one thing that kept me out.
Okay. And we're also working on getting him some employment or some education. So we talked about maybe you doing some baking at NSCC. Is there anything else you want to work on in between that?
Getting a job.
I talk to the guys on the phone every other day, but it's indoors and outdoors. It really, I meet them on their level. Sometimes they want to come to the office, sometimes we go for a walk. It really depends on the situation. With D, I take him for a lot of walks because he needs to calm down. You know, like he gets very emotional. You know, a lot of us have not had role models when we were growing up. We never had female role models. We never even had male role models. So it's very important that, you know, if anybody needs any support, that they actually have somebody that they can go to, somebody that they trust.
But then they end up not being the right person, but then we got to build up that credibility back in the community. Because
there's males out there that are traumatized by, you know, somebody being killed. You know, they had a family member that was shot and killed. You know, that traumatizes you. It also makes you want to retaliate. You know, there's been factors in the home. You know, there's been some trauma in the home. So there's just a lot of generational issues that I think is really a big factor that really is still not being addressed. Like there's still a lot of racism. You know, we're still fighting for housing. You know, there's mental health, you know, issues that we have. There's, you know, educational issues. I don't think there's enough resources out there for us. That's the problem. And I find when there is a resource that's put in place, I find that it's taken away. Like you look at the Skills Up program, for example. They had that in place for, you know, for African Nova Scotians in general that wanted to go back to school and get their high school diplomas. And what did? They took it away. And they put nothing else in place. You know, when the funds aren't there for us to pay our bills or to, you know, feed our kids, we get desperate. So we start doing desperate things. And we do what it takes to make money. You know, and you don't see a whole lot of females doing this. You know, I mean, you don't see a whole lot of females, and even a lot of men are shocked when they see a female, you know, as an outreach worker in a Ceasefire Halifax, you know, or doing any kind of cure violence work. Churchill Court. Well, I have a brother who's he went down the wrong road, and he had a lot of problems, and he ended up being in and out of jail, you know, addicted to drugs. And I think for myself growing up, I think I always regretted the fact that I couldn't help him somehow. And I think with myself doing outreach and helping these young guys, I think I felt like I'm helping my brother.
I don't even get emotional.
Right? So yeah, so let's do that. Okay, so we'll look into see if we can get you a part-time job in the evenings, and we'll look into getting you back into school. Okay, getting maybe into that baking course or into construction. We'll see if there's any courses that are coming through where you can actually get maybe some paid training courses. Okay, we'll see what we can do there. Okay, all right. Okay, come on now. That's what we're gonna do. I see that in these clients that I'm working with, you know, because they go through the same things that I've gone through, or the same things that my brother has gone through. And whenever I can help these guys and put them on the right track, then it makes me feel like I'm actually helping my brother and putting him on the right track.
The folks who work with us, all of them have to be very special in order to, you know, be on the clock 24/7. You know, we've got outreach workers who are getting calls at all hours of the morning, noon, and night, like Michelle.
You have to really care about people. You have to be empathetic. You have to be able to listen well. You have to really be able to put yourself in their shoes, and you have to be relatable. You have to really understand these clients and what they're going through. And you cannot judge these clients. The fact that they have a criminal history, you can't judge them on that. You have to always be there and support them as much as possible.
It wouldn't be a good road if it wasn't for Michelle. I look up to her as a mentor and a role model. So I want to try to get other kids to come here so they can have the help too.
It's difficult because, like I said, the guys think this is a man's world. But what they don't realize is that men and women make these babies. So it's not just the men that are out of their lives. Sometimes it's a woman as well. So it takes two, you know. It's not that this isn't a man's world.
I know she is down for me. Don't stay quiet, you can get loud with me. I tell her all the time, I'm a young soldier. What goes around comes around like a roller coaster. coaster, like a roller coaster. I love how she wants the crown from me.